They used to flinch at the word occupation. Now, they're embracing it with open arms and loaded rifles. Israel has named the storm Gideon's chariot and says this time there's no going back. As Trump shakes hands across the Gulf, tanks inch closer to Gaza. The deadline is set. The message is clear. But if the hostages are the price, is it still called victory? Israel has drawn a line in the sand with a dramatic ultimatum to Hamas secure a hostage deal before U.S. President Donald Trump completes his Middle East tour or face what could be the most decisive military campaign of the 19-month conflict. The operation, now officially named Gideon's Chariots, represents a significant escalation in Israel's strategy. Operation Gideon's Chariots, whose objective is the defeat of Hamas in Gaza and the release of all hostages, was unanimously approved yesterday by the Security Cabinet. The IDF will bolster its forces and operate with intensity to defeat Hamas and destroy its military and governmental capabilities while creating strong pressure for the release of all hostages. Unlike in the past, the IDF will remain in every area that is conquered to prevent the return of terror and will handle every cleared area according to the Rafah model, where all threats were leveled and it became part of the security zone. If no hostage deal is carried out, Operation Gideon's Chariots will begin with great intensity and will not stop until all its objectives are achieved. The timing is precise and deliberate. Trump is scheduled to visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates between May 13th and May 16th. Once his diplomatic mission concludes, the window for negotiation closes. Although last night we stayed up late in the cabinet and decided on an intensified operation in Gaza, IT was the chief of staff's recommendation to proceed, as he put it, toward the defeat of Hamas. And along the way, he believes this will also help us rescue the hostages. And I agree with him. We are not letting go of this effort, and we will not give up on anyone. The population will be moved for its own protection. Point one thing must be clear. The soldiers will not get in and out. We will call up reserve to take over territory, then leave the territory, and then carry out raids from what remains. That's not the plan. This is not our intention. The intention is the opposite. What distinguishes this offensive from previous operations is its scope and permanence. Unlike past incursions where Israeli forces withdrew, this plan envisions a lasting Israeli presence in Gaza along the border to 12 years of finally going to conquer the Gaza Strip. We're no longer afraid of the word occupation. We are conquering Gaza, clearing it out, and taking control of every area we enter. Finally, after a year and a half of that, I shout this in writing and speeches on every stage. We're taking control of the humanitarian aid so that it does not become logistical supply for Hamas. We are separating Hamas from the civilian population and from the humanitarian aid. We will eliminate Hamas, defeat it, subdue it, and bring the hostages back. This is the only way. The security cabinets. Approval of the expansive military plan represents a dramatic shift in Israel's Gaza strategy. The operation envisions not merely a temporary incursion, but what Israeli officials have described as the conquest and permanent holding of Gaza territory. The plan involves several radical components. First, it calls for moving the entire Gazan population southward away from combat zones. Second, it aims to deny Hamas any control over humanitarian aid. Third, it establishes an Israeli-controlled security zone throughout captured areas of Gaza. Only later, after the beginning of operational activity and a broad evacuation of the population to the south, a humanitarian plan will be implemented. This plan includes creating a sterile zone in Rafah, where civilians would undergo security screening before receiving aid. However, this approach has met with serious resistance. Perhaps most concerning are reports of serious disagreements within Israel's leadership about the operation's impact on hostages still held in Gaza. According to Channel 13 News, IDF Chief of Staff Alesh Zamir warned ministers that Israel could lose the hostages if it launches a major operation and a plan for a full-scale maneuver. We won't necessarily reach the hostages. Keep in mind that we could lose them. These concerns were amplified by the Hostages and Missing Families Forum, who stated the Chief of Staff's warning should keep every Israeli awake at night. An overwhelming majority of the nation is united around the understanding that an Israeli victory cannot be achieved without bringing the hostages home. Losing the hostages would mean an Israeli defeat as military preparations intensify. A parallel diplomatic battle has erupted between Israel and Qatar, one of the key mediators in hostage negotiations. The increasingly public dispute reveals deep frustrations on both sides. After months of stalled talks, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu directly accused Qatar of failing to use its influence over Hamas to secure a deal. During a meeting with Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulidis, Netanyahu claimed we had a hostage deal about to materialize that would have released almost half of the hostages with the help of Egypt, and we didn't see the Qatari cooperation. That's to say the least that could have brought this deal to fruition. We are asking others to put pressure not only on Hamas, but also on Qatar, which has decisive influence over Hamas, an influence that is not always exercised, but could be. This criticism escalated when the Israeli Prime Minister's office called on Qatar to stop playing both sides with its double talk and decide if it's on the side of civilization or if it's on the side of Hamas. Qatar forcefully rejected these characterizations. The Gulf States Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid al-Ansari described Netanyahu's statements as inflammatory and falling far short of the most basic standards of political and moral responsibility. He questioned whether the 138 hostages released thus far were freed through military operations or the very mediation efforts now being unjustly criticized and undermined as Trump's Middle East visit approaches. The clock is ticking on what could be the final diplomatic opportunity before Israel launches an operation that may permanently alter the landscape of Gaza and the wider conflict.